Recording in progress.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the August 28th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference. It is also being broadcast by FCTV on cable channel 9. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. We have a full complement of commissioners tonight. Thank you all for your dedication. And let's see, I'd like to remind you guys for commenting. I'll call on each of you, and the votes have to be done by roll call. So when I call your name, please state your name and your vote for the record, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public attendees, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. If you'd like to participate in a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I'll call for public comment. When you are selected, you'll be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the Commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply. Therefore, the project may proceed as proposed. However, a positive determination could mean that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply, or you may require some conditions. Therefore, the project would require a notice of intent application. So as an applicant, you kind of want to hear a negative. And for the benefit of anyone waiting for a particular hearing tonight, and so that you're not waiting unnecessarily, the following are expected to be continued: 55 Bournes Pond, 96 Waterside, 134 Minot, and 24 Willis Lane, and probably more that have not been mentioned yet. First up is a request for a continuance for determination of applicability. Howard and Cynthia Cahan, 55 Bournes Pond Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to fill and abandon a failed sewage disposal system and install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Alyssa.
The applicant has requested a continuance until October 16th.
Bird, so moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this request until October 16th. Questions or comments? We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Powell Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
And Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 10/16. Next up is a request for a continuance under a notice of intent. First request is Frank Siacha, 96 Waterside Drive, North Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove an unpermitted patio, construct a deck, install a fence, install mitigation and restoration plantings, and to request a variance from FWR 10.38 4F4. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance until October 2nd.
Bird, so move. And the reason?
They're still working on the planting plan, Courtney.
Okay.
Driscoll, second.
We have a motion and a second to continue this until October 2nd. Any other questions or comments? We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Powell Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this hearing until October 2nd. Next request for continuance, Stephen Fuhrer, R&B Development LLC, 134 Minot Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to repair and expand the existing riprap revetment and to conduct beach and dune nourishment. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance to September 25th, and Mr. Byrd, they're still working on the plan.
Okay, thank you. You've anticipated my question. Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
And I'm sorry, what was the date?
25th of September, Jamie.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this till 9:25. Questions or comments? We're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this hearing until 9:25. Next up is a request for a continuance to amend an existing order of conditions. KFN Hillside Nominee Trust, 24 Willis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4633 to reduce the size of the previously approved patio, relocate the drainage structure and the shed, replace the wooden boardwalk to the beach, and relocate mitigation plantings. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until September 18th. The reason is because they sent all the plans in except the mitigation plan. So we've just received that this week. And we have not had time to review it.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll second.
We have a motion and a second to continue this until 9:18. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until September 18th. Now, anybody looking at the agenda, we're gonna throw a wrench in the works. We are going to take something out of order. And bear with me, I'm looking for it. Okay. Under continued hearing under an enforcement order. Again, I'm going to mess up the name and I'm sorry. We're going to take William Magalis and Samantha Magalis Almeida, 53 Sandpoint Shores Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted clearing and construction of a retaining wall within the buffer to a wetland. Simultaneously, we are taking Richard and Mary Denicola, 59 Sandpoint Shores Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted clearing and construction of a retaining wall within the buffer to a wetland. These properties are side by side. You've heard this before. So
Mr.
that's
Chair,
why
do
it's,
you need a motion to revise the agenda?
No, we're just taking
no.
it out of order, Court. It's
Nope.
fine.
All right, Jen, I believe it's on you.
Yes, so we have the property owner Samantha with us and someone to assist her, Roberto, Andre. They're first, and then we do have the Delicolas in as well. So I guess we
Excellent.
will start with the first property, 53 Sandpoint Shores. Take it away, Alyssa.
So just to recap what we've done since we were last before the commission, everybody has met on site to take a look at the current conditions as well as develop a plan moving forward. We met with the engineering group as well. Everyone has a good understanding of what we are looking for, which would be coming up with a restoration plan from a restoration company. Making some modifications to the existing plan, hiring particular parties to stabilize the slope, remove the wall that is on the Denicola's property, fully restore their property, and create a parking area with what's left on Samantha's property. So what they're really seeking is for us to close the hearing so they can have an enforcement order to work off of. So that's what we are recommending tonight, is officially closing both of these, issuing the enforcement orders. I've kind of outlined in the staff report, as we typically see for requirements, which I've pretty much just recapped revisions to the plan, restoration plan, date certain timelines to achieve certain aspects of the project, creating an as-built plan, things like that. So we're supportive of it. Everyone seems to be on the same page with what the staff is looking for. So we're looking for the board to essentially close these hearings tonight.
All right.
We'd like to hear from the board what kind of timelines you want for certain activities like removal of the wall, restoration and grading of the slope.
Which should be simultaneous. The wall really can't come out, or
Come out
what's
without.
being held back by it will continue to erode and cause more damage.
And are all homeowners aware of that?
Yes,
Of the
Yes,
importance of that, I should say.
yes.
hopefully.
Okay. I'm going to give the homeowners a chance to comment. Roberto, would you like to speak at all? You're on mute, sir.
You have to unmute.
Jen, you might be able to prompt him in the participants list. There could be a
I
request to
know, I
unmute.
don't think I can. Just as asked to unmute, I can't unmute him.
At least if you hit
Roberto.
that, he can hit yes. There's a button that comes up.
Oh, okay.
All right. So much for simplicity. Roberto, look for the microphone icon.
I'm clicking on the ask.
Okay.
There he is.
Oh, there we go.
There is.
All right.
I think the owners, he wants to fix everything the commission would ask us. I think I talked to the both owners. They said I think sir, they need 60 days for to fix everything. You know, they will replant all the native stuff there for us that we identify. But they want whatever the commission say they need to do, they will do. You know? They want their help to cut the part for for the neighborhood too, and we are have the everybody's ready to cut the part for the construct they make for the neighborhoods.
Roberto, after we left the other day, did Mr. Chapman and his engineer explain what needs to be done on that slope in order to take that wall out?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and Samantha is okay with that?
Yeah, she's okay with that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. What I need to just you guys make a list for everything that need to be done, you know, and we need, I think so, till the end of November or the end of October. It's 2 months, and it would be a reasonable time for fix everything.
Okay, and then they're gonna get us a plan on how that's be stabilized.
Yes.
Okay.
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 Alright.
So, Mr. Chairman, we will write an enforcement order with very specific
Yeah.
instructions for each step along the way and certain dates where that has to be met. And when, if one date can't be met for whatever reason, we will work with the two owners to
Okay.
just keep it moving forward.
Okay.
Thank
We-
you. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you,
Ms.
Roberto.
Denicola, I
Thank
see
you.
you. Would you like to speak at all?
No, I'm just wondering how long it's gonna take to be done.
We're gonna do it as quickly as possible, ma'am, but
Yeah.
the goal is not to have that whole slope collapse
Right,
down
right,
onto that
right.
wetland. So
I understand.
that's the tricky part of this one. This one's gonna be a little tricky.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Okay. So the board, how long, 2 to 3 months September, October, November. We'll give them in that time frame.
Okay, yeah,
A plan by the end of September, complete the work by the end of October.
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be. Yes,
Okay.
so-
Got that, Alyssa?
So I'll make a motion to that effect.
Bird second.
Okay, and to be clear, we're gonna vote the two of these properties simultaneously because it's kind of one project. So just so
Okay.
we're clear, it's 53 and 59. We're only taking one motion, 1 second. We're only taking one vote. Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, any questions or comments from the board? All right, again, with the motion and the second on the table is to issue an enforcement order as discussed, as per staff's recommendation. Last call, questions or comments? All right, we're voting to issue an enforcement order. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Benton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an enforcement order. Roberto, thank you for helping.
Okay, thank you guys for the
Thank you.
understanding. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Denicola,
You
for
too.
participating.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to revert back to our original agenda. Anyone that we stalled, sorry about that. All right. Next up, our request for determination of applicability. First up, Town of Falmouth Engineering Department, care of Jim McLaughlin, 57 Dillingham Avenue and 113 Lakeview Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to install sidewalks, curbing, and curb ramps. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird so move.
Driscoll, second.
Gladfelter, second.
all right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Benton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Old Silver Beach Estates Homeowners Association, Inc., Tonsett Road, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove and maintain the road at a width of 15 feet. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and a -3 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird so move.
Driscoll, second.
all right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? Betsy,
Well, where does the sand get put?
It'll be removed from the site.
Okay, because of oil? From
Right, because of the
roads?
car traffic. Yeah. They want to be safe.
Okay,
all right. Anything else? All right, we're voting to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Benton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Jeff Bright, 94 Portside Circle, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a second story and an addition on an existing dwelling. Wow. Alyssa,
The applicant has requested a continuance until September 11th.
Bird so move.
Driscoll, second.
And I have a question. Is this a flood zone thing? Is that seems like a lot of work for us?
Yes. Yep, we're just missing the letter from the structural engineer or the architect confirming the structural stability of the foundation.
Okay, and then continuation request date?
The 11th of September.
Okay, so move.
all right, we have a motion and a second to continue this request until 9/11. Any other questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Harlow Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, which property?
94 Portside Circle.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank
It is
you.
unanimous. It is unanimous. We have continued this till 9/11. All right, next up, Marine Biological Laboratory, 137 Water Street, Woods Hole, Mass. For after the fact permission for wall construction for a modular float barrier system. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
all right. Questions or comments? Maury,
Yeah, I just had a question. So they poured it. I mean, would this have been permitted under an RDA if they had requested one, or a notice of intent?
So
I mean,
I'm just going to pull up the plan here.
it's hard to believe that MBL didn't know they needed a permit, number one. Number two, it's 200 lineal feet almost of this barrier and a cast in place concrete wall. Is this where they did the
This is repair?
generator storage area?
Where what storage is?
Remember when they came in front of us is it the same area remember they had two 10,000 gallon tanks behind the Lily
Yes.
building?
Mhm.
All right,
So this was poured without a permit. We were informed about it, so we called over to them. Just sort of the return of the wall is in the zone B. Everything else is in a flood zone. It is, how do I describe it? It's closer to Water Street than it is to anything else. It's on like that side of the building.
Okay.
So it's not near the resource areas. It's not near where the generators and that construction is happening. It's off to the side where the existing, I don't know if they're very large generator pads, air conditioner pads. They're right near
Next
Water
to the
Street.
building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't have any room hardly to remember. There was just a picnic table, and they couldn't even put grass down hardly.
Mhm.
And here we are putting a poured concrete wall.
Mhm.
It's
I don't know.
not
Just
very
I
big.
thought it was an awful lot of work, and I was a little disappointed to see that the MBL, knowing they need permits, didn't do it. They did a good job on the other one with their tanks. They're 200,000 gallon tanks or whatever they were, but this was a little disturbing that this much activity took place.
And it really more the only real like ground disturbance was that little return on the wall. The 200 linear foot barrier is it's a removable barrier. We can send you the spec on it.
No, it's
Kinda
fine.
cool.
As long as you're all right with it. I just thought it was an awful
Yeah,
lot
and
of
it's in
work
the
under an
parking lot.
RDA.
It goes directly through the parking lot.
Okay.
It's basically
Right,
where they're
Melissa?
going to, this is like where they're going to attach the components that they would put out in
Yep.
the event of a flood.
And then where does all that flood water deflect to when they put it up? Just curious. I mean, it was interesting. I read the staff report, and I didn't go down to go look at it. It was quite interesting, this size and scope and what its purpose was. And I'm thinking, well, it's great to put it up, but where, when you put this barrier up, who's going to get the water that you're deflecting off of 200 lineal feet of flood barrier? Anyway, that's going to be their problem. Sorry. We want to get done quick tonight, but that one was a curiosity more than anything. Thank you.
we do want to be quick, but we want to be thorough, so don't worry about it.
Well, somebody on Water Street will know where that water is going to go when they block it off.
Yeah,
I think if they have to deploy this, the entirety of Water Street is going to be underwater.
you're right.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Are we changing that? All right, we're voting to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up is continued requests for determination of applicability. First one has been previously continued, brings us to Carrie Sasu, 32 Hoople Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove invasive vines, remove select saplings, install a railing, and vista prune according to FWR 10.18, 10B. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so moved.
Driscoll, second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Jen, you said 44 is going to get continued.
Yes.
All right, so I don't need to read the legalese because next thing up is continued request for hearing under notice of intent, but the two of them have been continued, as has a request to amend an existing order of conditions for 24 Willis Lane, which brings us to, oh, I should have practiced this one. I'm sorry, I'm going to slaughter this name. I apologize. Scott and Zika Dresser, trustees, 44 Walk Point Landing Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4861 to reconstruct the foundation. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, they requested the 11th, but we cannot accommodate them, so we are going to continue this matter to September 18th.
Bird, so moved.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this amendment request until 9/18. Questions or comments?
This is just a foundation and they're gonna have to put it up on pilings. Was that the staff report?
Yeah,
want-
they're changing the design right now. They're trying to figure out what they want to do, and we have to have a discussion with the builder. We were informed today of some when the original project came before you, it like we were told it was going to be a partial second floor. Now it's a whole house reno, and we just need to discuss that with the engineer and the builder. What exactly are they going to do? Because this is partially in your V zone.
Mhm.
So the area, if they were to redo the foundation in the V zone, it would have to go up on pilings. So we're working through it with them right now, Ron. We were told the information today.
Okay.
That's the request for continuance. All right, anything else? All right, we're voting to continue this hearing until 9/18. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 9/18. And that brings us to hearings under an enforcement order. First up, Joshua O'Brien and Melissa Mayo O'Brien, 22 Deer Pond Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted installation of a dock, construction of a shed and patio, and associated clearing. Jen, I think.
This one is being continued, correct, Alyssa?
Yes, they have contracted with Merrill Engineering, so we think it might be best to push it out a little ways until we get a survey, so know exactly what we're working with.
So let's
you have a
push
date?
this out to October 2nd. Does that work?
Okay, so moved.
Bird, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this enforcement hearing until October 2nd. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy,
Butler, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 10/2. Brings us to continued hearing under an enforcement order. Falmouth Yacht Club, Inc., 0 Clinton Avenue. Map and parcel ID is 46B-020-020-000H, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted placement of filter fabric and trap rock over the existing riprap. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we can close this. The work has been completed.
It's
So I've been
completed?
out there with them, the work, yeah,
Wow,
they completed the work.
good.
wow,
So, and they are, the general manager, just to go back to the amendment, is going to be writing this or rewriting the storm plan. Will be submitting that to me, including that swing set. And he'll have that to me before next season. He's working on it
Excellent.
now.
So do we need to take any action at this point?
You don't need to take any action. There's no even need to issue an enforcement order. The work was done under that notice that they issued, and I drove by the other day. I did not, they weren't working, so we'll take a look.
excellent.
Towards the end of this week, they did have Raul, the engineer, go down, and it was reported that Raul was happy. So
He's always happy.
for whatever that means, Raul was happy with the work. So
Yeah,
He wouldn't
Well-
be happy if he thought that we wouldn't be happy.
Right.
right.
He'd just be neutral.
All right. So we
I'm
are
happy,
taking-
everybody's happy.
We are taking no action on this then. It brings us to the next two, which we've already done because we did it out of order. Which brings us to other business. Woohoo! Review bylaw fees.
okay, so I'm unable to open the spreadsheet I gave you because I can't VPN in, and I just realized that they just gave me a new computer, so I have to fix that. But I did send everybody our current fees, our proposed fees, the state fee schedule, and a analysis of our legal ad fees. So what we've been hearing from the engineers is they wanted us to reorganize our fee categories to match the state, to make it easier for everybody. Some towns do it, some towns don't. It's a request that Lori's been hearing, that it's kind of confusing. They don't know what fee to file. And if we could bring our fee schedule in line with the state, it would make everything easier for the engineers. And it would also make everything easier for the staff. If staff, leaves and a new person comes, it's just, it'll simplify it. That said, certain categories in the state include, so I'll take for an example, and I think I said this in the email. Let me back up. We haven't changed our fees since 2019. So it's been about 5 years. And I think before that, we had done it in 2014. So we're on an every 5-year schedule to revise our fees. Going back to the categories, category 2 in the state includes construction of a single family home, including a raise and rebuild, but it also includes projects like beach nourishment. So we were previously charging single family home $200, but our beach nourishment was, was up to $5. So it would jump the single family home. It would lower one by $50. But the rest of them would be around that. They kind of match up with that category too. So it's kind of difficult to compare them, but if you looked at the schedule, you looked at the state fee schedule, it kind of makes sense. The other big one was our advertising fees. Lori did kind of an average of our advertising fee, and right now our advertising fee per ad is hovering around $26, where we are charging $16. So we need to bring that advertising fee up, because we don't know in the future if the enterprise is going to increase their rates for advertising. So these are just a recommendation. What happens, Ron, because you haven't gone through this process yet, what happens is the staff will make a recommendation to the commission. The commission can either vote it, change it, whatever you decide to do. Then that recommendation goes to the board of the select board, and the select board is the entity that changes and sets the fees. That's why we can't waive fees, because the select board sets the fees, and they're the authority to waive a fee. So does anyone have any questions, concerns, comments on how I did this analysis or came up with these ideas?
Courtney,
Yeah, I think that what you've done is entirely in line. No one wants to pay more fees, but we've also seen a spike in inflation, and all costs are going up. So I think it's appropriate, and I'll make a motion to accept the fee structure as recommended.
I felt her second.
all right. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah. Can I ask a very naive question?
Um,
How much do these fees that you collect, does that fund your department, or even a good portion of it?
Good question. So the fees go into the general fund. So they're not particularly dedicated to the Concom. What happens every year is if you see in the town meeting book that does the budget, you'll see how they no, that's the wetlands fund. So we get a dedicated portion of what they have to pay the state, and that is dedicated to our department. That's under the state wetland fees. They can only be used for the administration of the Wetlands Protection Act. So that's a separate account. These bylaw fees go directly into the general fund, but it does, in a way, obviously help fund our department.
Okay. Thank you.
Maury? Maury, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Maury.
So the single family went up $200, but
Single
docs
family
went
up.
down.
What was that, Maury?
No, I have my chart, and I was just interested that for somebody to build a home, it goes up $200. It was originally $100. Am I correct? And then the docks went down $50. And one's a necessity, really. I mean, to build a house, and not a necessity, but more of a necessity than docks that we don't even get a buffer out of a dock anymore.
Well, no, docks actually, we currently charge $550 for a dock. So what the state does is they go on a linear footage.
Yep.
So if you look at category 5, which is what docks are under right now, it says $550 a linear foot with a $550 minimum, no maximum.
Gotcha.
And I did that to keep it in line with what we currently charge for docks. And if you take a typical dock that we permit at a length of 100 feet, there's $550.
Okay.
So I did that as a minimum. So all docks, no matter the length, is $550. There is one category that did go down $50. You are correct. I just can't put my finger on it right now. And as for the houses, there has been how do I say this? An increase in scope of what we have to review for these single family homes.
Yeah.
There's a
Fair
lot
enough.
that goes into these houses now. It's not like a little gambrel cape anymore. I mean, these houses are pretty grand, pretty complex, and it does take an awful lot of time to review them.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for
And
that.
then also what falls into category category 2 is kind of like that vegetation. Oh no, that's category 1, vegetation control and a resource improvement. It takes a lot to review those restoration plans. I mean, they're very detailed, and it does take staff quite a bit of time to review them.
Yeah, I even thought the ANRAD, I mean, those take a lot of time.
Yeah, thankfully
And-
we don't do too many ANRADs, but when we do, it's like Mark and I are out there. So
Well, thank you for the explanation.
again, they're just recommendations, but we definitely do need to
No, I'm fine with it.
and I think if you look at the chart that Lori put together, when we do this, we're going to end up kind of right in the middle of everything.
Thank you.
All right. Can you go back to the dock for a second? You said it's
Sure.
per foot, but it's a minimum fee. Did I
Correct.
understand that right?
Yes.
So it's a minimum $550?
A minimum $550, correct? Because that's what you currently charge for docks.
Per foot.
No, you currently charge $550 for docks. But that's just a flat fee, all docks.
Right.
This, we're just putting docks in to get it in line with the state categories, a linear footage of $5.50 with a minimum of $550. It just keeps it in line with the state, Jamie. I know what you're thinking.
you're throwing me with the linear footage though. But so you're saying they charge $500.50 for up to a certain footage?
The state charges $4 per linear foot. I'm proposing $5.50 because this isn't just docks. This is revetments, seawalls, things like that. So something that could be larger than 100 linear feet. I mean, big wall, but the state category is any work on docks, piers, revetments, dikes, etc.
So you're saying 550 minimum.
Correct.
What makes it go higher? More footage?
If the length of the structure is longer than 100 feet.
Okay. How much is it for that additional?
$5.50 a foot.
It would be $5.50 per linear feet.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Courtney?
In listening to Maury's comment, and you're on the house fee, and given the complexity, do you feel that $200 actually covers it? And
It's
covers
actually
the work?
$300, Courtney. It's going up from $200 to $500, and yes, I think that covers it. I think it's
Okay,
fair.
I'm sorry. All right. No other questions.
Betsy?
I just have a comment. I've been through this. I've actually presented this in 2008 to the Board of Selectmen. And I just want to say that Jen did a really good job in analysis of this, and which the Board of Selectmen don't like to see any increase in fees, like you mentioned, Courtney. Nobody likes to have raised the fees, but if there's a good justification for it, then it's understandable. So I thought you did a really good job, Jen.
Thank you. Because I'll have to present this. I mean, once you vote this isn't the end. This needs to be presented to the select board.
Well, just to say it, Jen and Alyssa and whoever else has worked on this, you know, you shouldn't be insulted by our questions. I mean, it's clarification because you guys deal with the administrative side every day. We don't. So when I'm questioning you from my own perspective, it's just for clarity. I have no issue with what you're suggesting or not. I just again, looking for clarity.
I don't take it personally. I understand. You don't live this every day like we do. And Lori,
Thank
like
God.
you said, it's been asked to, they don't know what feet of, and it's more to bring it in line with the state, and then kind of, you know, because what they call activities in the category. So the state lists very specific activities in each category. So it was kind of hard to line everything up. So I just did the best I could. But I mean, I think it makes sense.
I think that's fine. I'll be the bad guy though. I will say though, I don't know that we should reduce any fee.
It's just one quirky one. If you give me a second,
No, I'll go along with what you're suggesting. It just, you know, you can't get it back. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You know.
I think it's the beach nourishment. Beach nourishment. I think because I had docks and beach nourishment and revetments. I had them all under coastal, and beach nourishment is now being moved to category 2. So we're losing $50 on beach nourishment. We'll gain that with the single family home. So I'm not too worried about it.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. That's what we're voting on. Last call. All right. We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
And,
It is unanimous. We are accepting staff's recommendation. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Next up will be the select board.
Woohoo! I kind of heard Betsy volunteering for that. Just
No,
to
I
say
got it. No, I'll do that. It'll be fine.
She's shooting daggers at me. All
I
right.
know, I can see her.
Next up, vote.
I thought
orders-
she was going to have you do it, Jamie. That's why I
Yeah.
was so glad she had such a strong analysis.
Yeah. You're saying I couldn't handle it? Yeah. You know me in public speaking.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Vote orders of conditions. First up, Philip Greeno, 11 Clowes Drive, Falmouth, Mass. The quorum is all of us.
1 second, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Please. Something about a vernal pool. Merrill project.
Want to make sure that vernal pool is protected.
Yeah. To construct an elevated addition over a portion of an existing gravel driveway. So elevated addition, neighbor was concerned about the vernal pool. So we will make sure they have like not only erosion control and silt fencing. Ooh. Scary looking storm cloud coming this way. But also like orange construction fencing on there so they know not to drive over there.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird, second.
All right. I have a question before we vote. Are we including the unpermitted pergola?
Yes, we can include that.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. We're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
and,
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Thank you. Next up, Yakov Ostrovsky, 28, Whitecaps Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. And the quorum is all of us. And before you go off on a tangent, Mr. Red Suspenders, we're not going to discuss fire pits tonight, except for this one project. But I'd encourage you to write down your ideas so that we're going to have a discussion on fire pits in general. But tonight we're only dealing with this one. Jen.
No, understood.
Yes, it was the raise and rebuild. remove the front landscape wall. This house will have wraparound deck, landscaping walls in the front. Oh, this is the one with this is the one with that wall, isn't it, Alyssa?
The landscape wall, yep.
Yeah. Down by the water.
And
And the
the
little brick patio on top of it, where that's the fire pit area. So that needs to be removed, but I think the wall, even though the wall was installed without a permit, I think just to take it out it would cause too much grading and damage. So it's better if it's stable. Let's just leave the wall. And then there was that little area on top where they had, was it gravel or was it like brick?
it was
pavement?
gravel.
Yeah, gravel area on the top. That they had that little gravel area on top of the wall where they had their fire pit. And again, we're gonna have the discussion. So let's keep with past rulings, not allow it, and then they can always come back for an amendment to put it back.
Agreed.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
That's the simplest for this.
Yeah. Correct.
So my only question is, can we put that question on an agenda at some point?
We're working on it, Courtney. We're gonna actually have an in-person meeting at some point in October. I have to pick a date. I'm putting an agenda together on just some topics that the board needs to discuss. There's some issues in the regs that Alyssa and I need, well, we would like to have addressed, things that are causing some issues.
Yeah.
And then there's some other little topics that we need to discuss. This is one of them. So I'll put something together, an agenda, and we're going to start with an in-person meeting, invite the engineers, and
Yeah, okay,
have an
good.
open discussion.
That's good. That's positive. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll
All right,
make a
so
motion.
again- Excuse me, for the purpose of this project, we're saying they can keep the stone wall, but we want the fire pit and its related area removed.
Correct.
And after our October discussion, they could always come back for an amendment.
Yeah,
So
once we
just
put it
to
in the
be-
regs. Yeah.
Just to be clear, that we are requesting to be removed. Betsy,
I'll make an order. I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Third, second.
Alyssa,
All
do you
right.
have something?
Yes, they needed to revise their plan. The buffer zone's a 100, it should be 75, and that'll change the mitigation numbers a bit.
Okay.
And we'll confirm the proposed tree location once the house is built. It was a little too convoluted right now to
Okay.
confirm.
all right, anything else? We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. We're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Arlo Hawk's eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Keith Tortorella and Marianella Van Etten, 126 Bay Road, North Falmouth, Mass. Jen,
This was
Oh.
the,
wait, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. The quorum excludes Maury and Courtney on this one. Sorry about that.
this is the seasonal dock that goes in, and Raul was able to get it to have like
Little legs.
float stops, even though the little pads sit on the ground. It's better than to have the little pads sit on the ground than that whole thing, because the tide over there really does fluctuate, and this thing is sitting in the mud.
The
So I
pads
think
don't
this
sit
is-
on the ground until there's low tide.
Mhm. So
So they're
I
not
think
permanent.
this is a
Okay.
good thing.
All right. Anything in there? Anybody want to see in there?
I'm gonna call them
Um,
float feet.
Just to clarify, this also had a small planting component, restoring an area of mitigation that was no longer present on site.
Thought they had already done that. Oh, no, they had done the gravel. Okay.
Yeah, so as I tried to say in the staff report, we were not aware that quite so much mitigation was missing. We thought it was a smaller section. Turns out there was a second section, so they're officially
take
replanting
care of
that.
it.
And
Good. Make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Any other comments, questions, adds? All right, we're voting to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Leonard and Patricia Bassett, Bassett Family Trust, 465 Courier Road, East Falmouth, Mass. And the quorum is all of us.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is to permit, there was a seasonal dock on the property. This board back in the 90s permitted some structure out there, but it was like double in size. So this was a way to get that structure permitted. It meets the water depth requirements now and all that, so.
Okay. And they said it's removable and it's stored up
Correct.
actually in the garage, you said.
Correct.
Okay. Anything anybody want in there? All
I'll
right.
make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Gladfelter.
Driscoll's.
Ron, did you second?
Driscoll second, yeah. I thought someone beat me to it, but Driscoll second, yeah.
All right. We have a motion in multiple seconds to issue an order of conditions. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carol Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll aye.
Steve.
And I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, vote amended order of conditions. Nathan Pieri, 196 Metoxet Road, East Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, they wanted the word revetment removed from the language in the order of conditions, that they shall never have a revetment. I think the applicant was concerned that we would interpret a soft solution to be that as well. I think we can put some language in there that the word revetment does not include, minor repairs by core fiber rolls or things like that. How do you want that stated? So the issue I'm seeing with this is the way Mike presented it would be like small repairs.
Okay.
Wouldn't be it. But if there was a massive fiber roll project, then we could not consider it. But I would put in some language that small repairs with fiber rolls, would be allowed.
Could be.
Could be allowed. Could be allowed. Okay.
So we're not excluding it summarily,
No.
but we're leaving revetment in.
Yes, we are
That
leaving
word.
revetment in.
Okay.
So
Courtney?
they would have to come back, right, for.
Oh,
any-
absolutely, Courtney. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Would the word consider be better? That we would consider it? What was your word? Allowed?
Good.
Could.
Consider.
No, I think consider is better. Thank you.
All right.
I don't want to give the impression with any verbiage that we're saying it's allowed,
Yeah.
No.
And I think we're open, that we would consider anything. But, you know how it is. Once you put that word in, they take it for law, good or bad, So I like that.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Could
Bird, second.
consider.
Bird, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an amended order of conditions.
Amended order.
Anything else? All right, we're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Fellow Hawks eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an amended order of conditions. And as a reminder, no meeting next week.
Oh,
Happy Labor Day. And that is all we have, folks. Look at that, 8 o'clock on the button.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Driscoll, second.
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Fellow Hawks eye.
Driscoll, aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.